say anything, but Corri knows. I am so happy today. I'm so full. Like Brittany said, I know Craig is. It's a good day, but it was also a little sad. It brought back so many memories. And I know, I remember, soccer games and things like that. And I can remember like yesterday going to the daycare to pick Corri up, helping Chris and Gary out, and they would leave the car seat at the daycare, and Dot and I would put the car seat in our car and take her home. It was like it was yesterday. And now here she is. And I'm so proud. And I also want to give hats off to the other two grandparents in the room. My partners over there who live in Las Vegas, but they go above and beyond to be here for our grandchildren. And I just thank them so much. Thank you. She was blessed to have 5 grandparents, y'all.
Six, really? Six?
Six, I'm sorry.
She knows
6
it.
grandparents. What a blessing. What a blessing. That's all. I love you, sweetie.
Oh, real quick, I just wanted y'all to see, Chris took a picture of Corri and I before church one Sunday, and Carolyn made it into a art painting. The original is hanging in our bedroom right now, but she made this journal, and this is what I've been writing in all these years.
Come on, baby.
I'm the grandfather, and I believe that this family was destined to be a part of each other. Peggy, when she was working at Aetna, she went to work with all of Chris's mother and his aunts. We didn't know that. We didn't know Chris. When Gary Kay came down, she wanted to graduate. When she graduated high school, she decided to come straight to Houston. And then we enrolled her in Prairie View, and she met Chris. At that time, I had moved to Las Vegas, and Gary Kay was calling me and saying, but she had a boyfriend, but she never would tell me anything about him. Because my defense mechanism at the time was, I don't want to meet one guy, that's the one he would have married.
That's exactly what he told me.
And honestly, only met one.
Yeah.
Each one, only met one. And I was very proud of that. But the thing that I was trying to instill in them was to get an education, be able to take care of themselves, be independent, be single-minded in the way that they wanted to create their own destinies, which really made me proud. And now that they're all here today, I'm very proud.
Amen.
Because each one of them have achieved way, way, way more than I could ever think that they could have done for me. Shonda is a respiratory therapist supervisor. Gary Kay is a civil engineer. Mechanical engineer. And Keisha is a double major. She's medical and a child psychologist.
Dr. Keisha.
Actually, Shonda is a doctor. She has her doctorate as well. So they all achieved. So the bar is already set, and Corri has already met that bar. So now it's just an example for things can be done, especially by women. And I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Let me just say something real quick. It brought back a memory. I think I shared it with Chris earlier today. This is probably, Peggy might not remember, but it's, she had, like Gary said, we worked together.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks after she wasn't working anymore, and I ran into her, because we all lived in the same area. I ran into her one day. I'm like, what have you been up to? She said, oh, I've just been getting my daughter ready to go to college, to go to Prairie View. Little did I know her daughter was going to become my daughter. That was before all of this came about. But yeah, she said, I'm just running around getting my daughter ready to go to Prairie View. And that's my daughter now, too.
Y'all did a good job. I believe he's a man. He's a man.
Yeah, all right.
I just wanted the camera to give me a second.
Okay. That's all right. When the camera go off, it's going down. It's going down.
Feel this.
Peggy.
Oh, Peggy.
Y'all ain't got to point at each other. Just somebody talk. Somebody talk.
Okay, well then it's the godparents, then that would be me. Okay. This is gonna be hard, I'm gonna take my time. And the reason being, I wanna thank Chris and Gary first of all. I mean, the grandparents had no choice in being grandparents, but we were chosen as godparents. And that was one of the great, I will say today, that's the greatest honor that I've ever gotten, was to serve as Corri and Gabrielle's godmother. And when I first looked at Corri, with me not having any biological children, I never thought I could love any human being that much. But when I saw that little girl, it was just something. She stole my heart from day one. And it was just like, I guess I had that moment that Gary had. I knew there was a God. I knew that was a God when I got my God babies. And when Gary was sick, and we prayed and prayed, covenantly and prayed. That's why I have never, even when Corri, that was one on your, was it your 20th birthday, 21st birthday when you were in New Orleans? 21st. And it was midnight and she called and it was bad. And I tell you the truth, I labored in prayer that night at my neighbors. I'm surprised they didn't call the cops on me. But I knew that night, and I've always known that God had a call and that this child is anointed. But that night, it just sealed it for me because, she was at one of her lowest points, but she knew to call on prayer warriors. She didn't call on young people. She called on prayer warriors. She knew she needed prayer. And we covered her in prayer. And that wasn't the only time that we had these type of prayer meetings. But that was just one that was just so overwhelming. And I just begged the Lord, take care of my child. That's all I could ask him that night was, Lord, save my child. And that was the hardest thing. But God saw her through that. But even when Gary was pregnant and she was sick, Chris had called me. I don't even know if Chris remembers.
Nope.
Chris called me at work one afternoon. And he was having a bad day. He was at work. And he was just worried about his wife and his unborn child. And now I think Corri may have been born by that time. But when I got off the phone, I talked to Chris, and I just sat at my desk and I prayed and prayed, and I knew that I said, Lord, bring him home. I just knew they had to come home. And within a couple of months, Penny flew out to Arizona, and Penny brought her back. Curly and I drove Chris and Gary back from Arizona and brought them home, and just to watch God use her life. But I'm just going to share this quick story and I'll be done because I know, like Pastor said, I can't tell it all. But she was little. One Sunday after church, and I had gone to the Luby's and she was with me, and I got her. She was probably a year old at best, and I had taken her out the car seat. And I sat her down on the ground. She could stand up. She couldn't walk that well. And I just put her right there. And I was doing something. And a woman came out of nowhere. And this lady came over to Corri. But the craziest thing about it was when I didn't see where she came from, but Corri's face just lit up and she was smiling. And she let this woman take her. And Corri was a fickle little baby. But she let this woman take her. But the lady, she just picked her up and she took her in her arms. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you letting this woman hold this child? But it was something about it. But she kept speaking of her life. That God has a plan for you. That God has, and she just kept speaking scripture over her life. And I was like blown away. And then, at some point I was like, Chris and Gary gonna kill me. I took it.
Yup. That's what I'm thinking now. You let a stranger grandma, baby.
I knew it was divine. But that woman, in that very second, when I turned around, she was gone. And to this day, I just really did not feel that was a human that I had encountered that day. But I always knew when Corri went through things in life, I always knew Corri was going to be okay because she came here through prayer. And when that, for that person to just speak over her life the way she did, and I said, I have no idea. And I know you will succeed in your career, whatever career path that God has you down, you'll succeed in that. I have no doubt about that. but it's your spiritual life that God's gonna use you for. He has a plan and a purpose. That Jeremiah 29:11, that's what it's all about in your life. And I pray that God let me live long enough to see it. You know, and even if he doesn't, I know it'll still happen. So I just want you to know, I love you, my girl. You know it. You know it. And another thing, and I did say I was going to take my time, but I'm going to say this and shut up. But when she was little, see, y'all remember that movie, Kingdom Come? With LL Cool J? Corri would stay with me all the time. Corri would come, ain't that let's watch Ray Bud? So she would always do that. But Carolyn, I love you.
That was first Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the movie. No,
That was Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come, yeah.
That was Kingdom Come, but LL Cool J, no, that was something. That was my favorite. Yeah, but Carolyn and I, we're proud of you. We love you, and you know, the rest of our lives, we will be there for you, and we're looking forward in 6 months to do it all again. So to God be the glory.
Woo woo.
God be the glory.
5 months.
Woo woo.
5 months.
Really 4.
Woo woo.
Okay, 4
It
months.
don't matter. We'll
4
do it
months.
again.
Yeah, that's my God, baby.